Hello and welcome to the Gambling Files podcast, the podcast that has decked the halls with bales of holly and taken them all down, because by the time you listen to this, it's going to be 2025 and we're going to be living in the motherfucking future.
Welcome to the future.
How does the future look from where you are, Finton?
Fucking great. I'll be honest. 2025, be a big year for Costello. Big year. Lots going to happen. I can feel it.
What like?
Oh.
You're not allowed to say, are you? It's probably executive things.
Swear to God. Fuck. So I've been posting on LinkedIn. It's just easier just to say nothing. It's just...
This must be what it's like being married to somebody in the CIA. How was your work today, darling?
I can't talk about that. Look, it's going to be a big year. Big year. I can feel it. It's coming.
Well, I haven't got any big plans.
Nothing. You must have a New Year's resolution.
No. Well, the New Year's is such an arbitrary line.
I agree with that. I totally agree. It's like I can do my Sunday night, Monday rant. Because I love the energy that goes into New Year's resolutions. But then January is like the worst month of the year to like try and lose weight, start running. It's dark and it's wet and it's cold. And it's like, it's just so many of these like, oh, I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. It's just the worst. Like July is far better time. It's so much easier to do things in the sunshine when it's warm.
Dude, September is the best month to start running.
Yes. Yeah. It's the right end of the temperature scale.
Cool down a little bit. The days are still longer. And you have that wonderful journey. As the temperature decreases, you don't notice it so much. You don't have that shock. But you also have that wonderful journey of seeing everything die off and then come back in the spring. And it's one of the great pleasures of running.
Fair enough. I've stopped running. I'm not running anymore. I'm just exercising.
CrossFit?
Not quite. No, just gym exercising. Kind of like it's basically CrossFit. It's HIIT, but without the CrossFit bullshit. Because the problem with CrossFit is it's so varied. You just end up being really shit at a lot of different things. Unless you do it like twice a day for 5 years. So it's a bit more concentrated now, but it's working. I'm losing weight, putting on muscle, so it's nice.
Super.
Quite happy with it.
I fitted into a size of jeans that I haven't fitted in since I was 15 the other day.
Ooh.
I know. Admittedly, I hadn't eaten
for
a
really
week.
fat 15-year-old.
And I'd just taken a shit. But, well, there's that as well. I mean, I was huge when I was 15.
Size of a fucking house.
I had terrible IBS. I was very swollen around the midriff. No, I was, when I was 15, I was wearing a 32-inch waist, and I can wear a 32 again.
32 is a good size.
It's been a while.
Well done. And then you realize, like I remember once that happened to me, and because my belt was the other way. I put on weight, and I had to go buy a new belt. And I'm like, oh, I'm a 32. And your man looked at me and he goes, you're not a 32. And I went, look. And I took off my belt. Look, it says 32. And he goes, yeah, but it's stretched. I'm like, don't be ridiculous. That can't happen. Fuck. It was like the strain that this belt must have been under for years. So I just slowly I got caught out of it. That was a lesson. Leather stretches. Who knew?
I get people saying to me all the time, you know, like when I go back into Ludlow and I haven't seen people for a couple of years, they're always like, fuck mate, you've lost some weight, haven't you? And I always say the same thing. I always say, yeah, but I'm still the same shitty person I was before. It's just the outside of me that's changed. I'm still terrible.
32-inch waist. Let's go. Woo!
Yeah, 32. If you want to worship at that altar, you fucking worship at that altar. But I'm still gonna be horrendous.
As he struts down the high street, fucking Saturday Night Live.
You're thinking of Saturday Night Fever.
Oh, am I? Yes.
Very different thing.
Very different.
And also, I strutted when I was fat, and I strut now.
Boom.
That's just innate. It's It's a
Bring the thunder.
genetic strut.
Bring the thunder.
And I think my sons have inherited the strut.
It's important. Strut's important.
Fucking right it is. So one of my colleagues once called me unmuggable because I walk around everywhere like I own it. And you know what? Cross your fingers. So far, he's right. Let's see what Barcelona brings.
Mate.
I'll just be stood outside like, come on.
They take pity on you. Be shoving 50s in your pocket. Send you on your way.
Possibly. You look like shit. Have this. Go on. And let me get you an Uber. Speaking of Barcelona, though, one of our benevolent and very kind and generous and virile sponsors is, of course, Clarion Gaming, who are the organisers of ICE 2025, which is taking place in Barcelona.
It is. Soon.
Yeah.
Literally.
Possibly when, I think it's just after this episode will come out.
It's soon. So
we'll see. It's just happened.
Yeah. I'm nearly fully booked now when we're recording this.
I'm not even sure if I'm going yet.
You're going.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah. It's the fucking all sorts of it's okay.
Twat.
It's a podcast thing. It's fine.
Yeah. But it is exciting. And if you were at Clarion now, though, you would be bricking it a bit, wouldn't you? Because you get into that point where it's like, it's happening, regardless.
There's so much work could have gone in before now that they're professionals. Like, this isn't their first rodeo.
Yeah, but you still get nerves.
Of course, there's nerves, but I think they've got this under control for sure. Alex runs a tight ship. This is fine.
I hate that phrase, runs a tight ship.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he does.
You just want me to hate him.
No, we can't hate Alex.
And his tight ship.
He is unhateable.
He has a strong jumper game.
He does have a strong.
He does have a very strong.
But he brings in energy as well to it. There's a kind of just an energy about him.
A jumper energy.
Big jumper energy.
It's probably a thing. It's probably a big thing at folk music festivals around the world.
It's probably a whole category on porno.
People with these big fuck off beards, and people will be like, "Oh, look at him fucking strutting down like he's on Saturday Night Live with his big jumper energy."
Oh, fuck me!
It's probably caused more than one fight at a folk festival, I would think. And just for the record, if anybody out there is a Pixies fan and is listening, it is well worth finding. Pixies did a set at a folk festival. I think it's a Newport Folk Festival. They did an entirely acoustic set. And it's fucking amazing. And it's the original lineup as well. It is well worth finding if you're a Pixies fan. And I appreciate the Venn diagram of Gambling Files podcast listeners and Pixies fans. It's probably two separate circles. But I'm just saying, just in case.
Just in case, on the off chance.
Have we got any other sponsors we should mention?
We've got some great sponsors.
We do.
And they'll both be at ICE.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
One of them's organising ICE. The other two are going to be there.
So we've got Optimove. The gambling industry's number one CRM software.
It is.
Used by the majority of the gambling industry, the EGR Power 50. So basically, the majority of the biggest firms in the industry all use Optimove. And they're doing that for a reason, because it makes them lots of money.
Truth. Speaking of making lots of money, though, our other sponsor, our newest sponsor still, is Every Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And there is talk that you and I are going to be doing something on the Every Matrix booth. Oh, there's the dog. He's just tried to walk into the fire. Doing something on the Every Matrix booth during ICE. We can't confirm timings yet, but I believe that that's a thing. Live
and unfiltered.
Not like this, where it's all carefully scripted and rehearsed.
Yeah. Oh, we could do like a Nirvana Unplugged kind of thing. Could be like the Gambling Files Unplugged. We could do something. We could do something, John. Have they? Yeah,
Why Nirvana Unplugged? I mean, Pearl Jam's Unplugged was awesome.
it's just my age, man. Pearl Jam would
They were within about 3 months of each other, Finton. And you were about 10.
I was a bit older than 10, but yeah.
No, you fucking weren't.
Was I?
No.
Maybe just saw the repeat.
Nirvana Unplugged would have been about 92. Actually, Pearl Jam would have been about 92.
I'd have been 12.
Oh, it was a big 2 years that I got wrong.
It's important. Is that 10 to 12 in terms of music taste and what's going on in the world? It's huge.
Finton, I was 18.
Man,
I was just the right age for grunge.
Oh,
It was big for me.
I could imagine.
Can you, though?
I'm seeing long hair, layers, big jumpers.
I've got
Doc
a picture here
Martens.
somewhere with a fringe. Oh, yeah, totally. All that. Big coat.
Big coat.
A lot of charity shop shopping.
Yeah.
Smoked. Was in a band.
Wow. Jesus
A
Christ.
legendary band as well, which might even be a fucking Google whack because I bet nobody else is looking for it. Let's have a look. Oh, that's an interesting autofill from... Oh, wow, you're getting some real... I've just got a load of champagne flutes. And that was definitely not what I searched for. It's made an assumption that I wanted something entirely different. Oh, no, that's the right one. Ah, that's interesting. Found a lychee and raspberry foot soak whilst searching for my old band.
It's a bit of a niche band name, but fair enough.
But yeah, we were called Raspberry Foot.
So anyway, while you're looking up band names from the 90s, thank you to our sponsor, Oddsmatrix, part of the Evermatrix group.
Yes.
Great bunch of lads. They are, how would you describe Oddsmatrix? They are
sexy,
virile.
considerate lovers.
Pay on time. No, look, it's phenomenal. Like we spent a lot of time chatting to the lads about their software and stuff, and some of the stats they were throwing around, like 1.2 million bets every day across their network.
They can do more, though. I mean, if anybody wants to try,
yeah, they can stress test that, and growing. They're in like 20 markets, live in 20 markets, 300 plus clients. So it's kind of proper global business, tier one operators. Yeah, just brilliant. Just check them out, get the demo, have a chat.
And on the subject of Every Matrix and Odds Matrix, there is no mention of the band Raspberry Foot on Google. I've only gone 5 pages in, but I think that's enough. We're not there. So I need to put up some old recordings, I think.
Get on Spotify. Here we go.
Now you're talking. Yeah, there's probably there's a gambling industry band.
Is there?
But maybe there should be a second. I'm sure there is.
A gambling industry band?
There was. I'm sure there was. I'm sure they did some functions.
That's like something I'd do. Call them the free spins. Just fucking get a Spotify link.
Fuck, have I given you another idea for 2025? There's a lot of potential double entendres for songs by the Free Spins. Fill my slot, pull my handle, accept my spurting jackpot. That last one might be a bit of a reach, but you get where I'm going with this.
Cash Out. That's a good song title. Jackpot, obviously one. Right.
Obviously, we're not going to do anything to do with Tito because there are simply no plays on words that you can do with that.
Yeah. All right. So one of our 2025 New Year's resolutions then is to launch a band called the Free Spins.
Yeah, with some saucy double entendre names.
It just keeps getting longer every week. Wins, No Deposit, Canada, Interac.
But the band could be sponsored as well.
Yeah, we were accepting sponsors for NetEnd, Jam and Jar, Starburst.
So, I mean, we could
Crazy
end up with
time.
quite a long band name. It could be like that Welsh Village.
Be standing there like an F1 driver.
No, you're talking. That's how I think we should look while we're presenting this.
Well, we've both got the blank walls, so just so anybody's watching, this space is all totally available.
And this.
Yeah, we need to do that.
You'll regret having hair, Finton.
Look, for the right amount of money, I'll shave it. Not a problem.
Okay.
I have a price. Everyone's got a price, John.
Everybody listening, you heard that. And let's find out what that price is.
Let's go get the GoFundMe going and let's figure it out.
Fuck. So anyway, the guest this episode.
Who's on the episode, John?
Well, you don't know because you weren't here when I recorded it.
Had to do secret
I was
stuff.
lucky enough to meet. This is one that we've rescheduled a couple of times, which does happen occasionally, but I'm very glad that we got to do it in the end. We spoke with Christine Parkhill, who is the CCO of Just Slots, a slot developer, provider, supplier.
Okay.
And we talked about all sorts. We talked about slot development. We talked about doing it in a very competitive market, localization, personalization, the development pathway. We talked about all sorts, really. And dogs and cats, they came up as well. I don't know why they came up, other than mine were both being really noisy. You'll be able to hear my cat meowing on this one, despite the fact that he was 20 feet away behind a closed outside door.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good range.
He was making his feelings known. Let me in. I'd like to be warm. Fuck. He threw up on the windowsill this morning.
The inside or outside?
Inside. I'm not sure which way I would have been happier. But at least he only did it on the windowsill. If he'd leaned slightly to the left, it would have been in the dog's bed, and that would have been a fucking disaster. But anyway, I digress. Meet Christine Parkhill of Just Slots fame.
Enjoy.
This week's episode, unusually no Finton for this particular recording, which I know will come as a surprise to regular listeners who are starting to doubt he ever existed at all. But I can assure you he's very, very real and doesn't exist only in our dreams. I'm joined by Christine Parkhill, who is the CCO of Just Slots. Now, Christine, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I got to say, right, that's a very English name you've got.
Yeah, it's my husband.
But you have an accent, which
yeah.
isn't.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you. Yeah, it's the Maltese in me. You see, yeah, I'm from Malta, hence the Mediterranean interruptions. I'm married to a British person, so he's British.
Okay, and also for anybody who's just listening, not watching, Christine also has a picture of Roger Bannister hitting the 4-minute mile.
Oh, you're
behind
good.
her head.
That's really. You can't read it, eh? It's a signed one, actually.
No.
Yeah.
Signed by Bannister.
Yes.
Just by Bannister, or is it signed by McWhirter as well?
Just by Bannister.
If it was signed by McWhirter as well, I would be bowing down before you. He was, of course, running the clock that day.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I got it at a charity, actually, like an auction.
Fantastic.
For one of the customers a few years ago.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's an absolute steal. Well, whatever you pay for it. I was just, I was clearing out some books yesterday, and one of the books was the story of Bannister breaking the 4-minute mile by a guy called Neil Bascom, and it goes into all of the rivals for breaking it at the time.
Oh.
It's a fantastic book.
Really, I read it. Yeah. It's really interesting.
It is genuinely, it's well worth a read, because what we forget in the UK is that Bannister was one of several people who was capable of doing it. He just got there first.
Yeah,
and it's an amazing story. Very, very cool. But, we like to remember that we just did it really easily and everybody else just watched on in admiration because we're British and that's what we do.
Of course.
Yeah. So, what does Just Slots do?
We make slots, hence the name.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's a good name.
gave it
It's a
away.
good name.
Yeah, so we started out last year. We have one game live at the moment, and then quite a
Very
few.
young.
Yes, just a startup, and then we have quite a few coming next year. So just starting out.
That's interesting because, I mean, the area that that part of the sector is wildly competitive.
Yeah.
And it's such a strange cycle that the games go through. It's not like any other release cycle anywhere in any other entertainment industry, because you get slot titles, they drop. There's a buzz for 5 minutes and then they're gone. I mean, very few slot titles stick around.
Yeah.
And there's so much competition all around the world. So why,
Yeah.
Christine?
No, it's true. I was reading, actually, like, I get all the slot roundups and all that, and there's like 25,000 slots just on one of them. So yeah, how the players pick? Why would they pick mine? I don't know, but I think with us, we've put together a really good team. I think, just like experienced people who know what they're doing, and we're using data much more. So trying to really follow, kind of, that's the plan anyway, follow what the players want and then reuse that. I think a lot of the slots that come out are just kind of throwing something at a wall and hoping it will stick. We
100%.
do not plan to do that. So I think yeah, there's a bit of that. And then I mean, there are a few slots which are like classics that hang around. So I think there is space for some others. A lot of the stuff that comes out, as you're saying, just like literally in a week it drops. And there's a lot of reusing stuff or reskinning. So yeah, it's not very original for the players. But yeah, I think the data part is what will set us apart, kind of thing. Just actually really, really using data to design the next games. So we'll see. It's still early days.
No, totally. I mean, it's I think one of the really interesting things about online slots is the sort of testing and development pathway. I think that's really, really interesting. How does yours work? Because when you say data, I'm going to assume that you've got some kind of a test bed somewhere so people can play this and you can see, because that's the thing. Like I always say, you can design something with the best intentions in the world and you can design it to be used in a certain way, but that's got absolutely fuck all to do with what somebody's actually going to do with it.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, it's so true. I worked in engineering before, and we used to design buildings, and that's it. Like, you assume people will close the window at certain times, but they open it, so then everything goes wrong. So yeah, and I think it is the same. You assume players will sit down and play for a certain amount of time, but they do what they want, kind of. But yeah, but that's what it is. We have access to all the data. So our tech is really good. And we've teamed up with a company that kind of specializes in analyzing data for slots, actually, for casinos. So yeah, we really want to see exactly what the player is pressing and why they're leaving, or, just really break down the player behavior as much as possible, and learn from that, which I think not enough other slot companies, not enough of them are doing it.
Well, certainly there seems to be a lot of, as you say, throwing it at the wall and seeing if something sticks, as opposed to. But then it's. I think everybody's nervous. Oh, it's like making a movie. It's like you follow the last hit rather than developing something really new, because if you fuck that up, you've lost $250 million, as opposed to the relative banker of following that established formula and that establishing marketing path. I do think it's a little bit similar with games.
I think that's true in one way, but I think if you have a variety of products, then kind of that's the way to go. And I think we're actually quite lucky in this industry, because you make a game and get it out and get feedback on it in, let's say, a year, which is actually quite a short cycle. So you don't have to if we go back to buildings, you spend 6 years, designing and building a building, and then you have to wait a few years to get feedback from it. So, you have to go through all the seasons, etc. Whereas with us, it doesn't cost that much to develop a game. So we can test a bit more. And then also, obviously, what we try to do is have some safer ones. And I guess, again, for us as a startup, we start making a few kind of safer slots with more familiar mechanics or themes that we think will please quite a few players. And then, later down the line, go for the more risky ones when we can afford to.
I think a delivery man's just about to arrive, so my dog's going to go mental.
Oh, sweet. What dog do you have?
Stupid one.
Oh.
A stupid and noisy one who's very large. I have a hunt away.
Oh, sweet.
And he's quite vocal. I might be wrong, though.
Yeah, maybe he's more intelligent than you think.
No, maybe they're just delivering to a different house.
Maybe he just pretends to be stupid.
So tell me so you've got one game out now,
yep.
Right? What was like the development pathway for that? I mean, you get a lot. I think that with quite a lot of game suppliers, what you get is a mathematical model that works and a new skin on it. And I've had slot manufacturers on the land-based side over the years say to me so many times, players really respond to our maths model. No, they don't. They don't give a fuck about your maths model. It's not a conscious response at all. They're not saying, God, I love the maths on this slot. It's really giving me wood. Nobody has ever said that except for me just now, and I was lying. So I think, people respond to, am I winning? Am I able to play for longer? What are the bonus games like? Am I enjoying myself? That's what they respond to. They respond to whether it's a decent playing experience. It's not that difficult.
I think there are different players. It's like some players really want that high risk, like thrill, and don't mind losing some money. Whereas some other players who are just going to play 20 spins kind of just want a more flat, kind of, low volatility. A few small wins is fine. So it does depend a bit, but for sure, I totally agree.
But even the high volatility player is going to look at it and want to have some kind of fun for throwing their money down the shitter.
They want to see the potential. They have to see the potential really, really quickly.
But it's still got to, it's still got to look good. It's still got to play well. It's still got to have aspects of it that are at least amusing, because otherwise
100%.
When they lose, they're not getting any return on that investment.
Yeah,
investment.
No, it's so true. It's true. And like, in fact, one of the things we look at is, I guess after how many spins, like how many spins will your average deposit last you, for example? Or like in the first 20 spins, can you see the potential in the game, etc., etc. And then also, I think it's a bit about marketing it to the right type of player.
Totally.
So I don't think one game fits everyone, the same as most things in life. I can't hear him still.
Shit, he's coming here.
Oh, no, I hear.
Yeah, there's the dog. Thing is that there's a certain... I think it's a slight misconception in operators, but it could be that I'm a dipshit. In that, like in magazines, you've got yield. So each page has to generate a certain amount of money or has a certain value, right? And that's fine. Like a game to be hosted, it's got to pay for the space it takes up, right?
Yep.
But I also think that there's something that's not necessarily valued enough, which is if somebody is playing that game with you, they're not playing another game with somebody else.
Yep. Yeah.
And so actually, I think time on device has a greater part of the value proposition than people currently give it. I mean, but like I say, I could be wrong. I haven't even got hair, Christine.
That can be fixed, I think True, but there's also so many other factors. Like we're saying, we're competing with, like all the other suppliers, and the commercials come into it and all that. So it's not sometimes, the player playing this game isn't playing another one, but price comes into it as well. And I think operators are becoming much more price conscious and like cost conscious, I guess, than they were, let's say, 5 years ago. So I think cost has a lot to do with it as well. And I don't think, again, we're very good at measuring when it comes. I mean, we can see, and people have different metrics for, spins per game or spins per session, time per session, etc. There are loads. I don't know if some suppliers are very good at measuring everything, again, like how much a game costs, how much money we make back from it. I think there's still a lot of kind of people enjoying making games and then hoping enough money comes in to keep the company going.
Your game development pathway, who comes up with the idea? How long does it take to actually get a game out there? And is that something that's going to speed up for you? What points does it speed up at? Because if you're doing the data thing, that's another little hurdle in there. So tell me.
I don't think it's a hurdle. It's okay. In general, so usually it is the kind of our main game guy who is a mathematician, actually. So he will come up with a concept. It's not always exactly the same for every game, okay? But generally come up with a concept which is more about the mechanics of the game. And then the art director will have a few themes in mind, and they see which matches to each other. If it's something if it's a softer mechanic, you want a softer theme, etc. sometimes. And then after that, then we just, the art is developed, so all the characters, I guess that happens in parallel with the math being developed and fine-tuned. And then the devs come in and kind of animate and put all the math into the actual engine of the game. And then obviously we test it. I think, the first game took us relatively long to make because we were doing everything for the first time. Actually, the idea is that we can reuse kind of building blocks of the game. So maybe kind of the real spin or the timing or the big win animation, etc., etc. So over time, the place we should, the part we should shorten most is actually the development. And that's our idea, is to almost not need developers. So you just have people generating ideas. Obviously you have to come up with the art and animate it, and the sound. But the development side should be very, very reusable and short. And then also, if you're doing it well, the QA should be better as well, because you don't have so many bugs, in theory. Well, let's see. Yeah. I've lost your sound.
Yeah, I hit mute because the dog was drinking from his bowl, and he also does that very, very loud. He's got a great big head and a big gob on him, and he's...
They say owners resemble the dogs.
Yeah, he does also have a huge penis and is very intelligent. And strangers often comment on how handsome he is. So you're right.
You'll have to feature him, and you'll have to bring him into the podcast now.
Everybody loves that dog, except me. It's weird. What's your testing platform? How do you test before launch? Because I know, there are some people who have like their social casinos, or they have social casino partnerships where people can essentially play for free before it goes into a sort of paid mechanic.
At the moment, we just do testing in-house, so we just have a team that does all the testing. But that is with one of our main customers. That's what we're going to start doing, actually. We also have some, I guess, just more friendly operators. People we know a bit better. So we'll launch with them first as a bit of a test, I guess, even to flush out any bugs and get some feedback on the game. So I guess it's just a very small brand, and that's almost like the test before it goes to the bigger brands. So yeah.
Now the cat is at the back door and he's shouting to be let in, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to.
I like animals a lot, so yeah, I would let him in.
He's a bit, but the thing is, he'll be up on the desk, on the keyboard. And but he won't do that. He'll just sit there. He'll sit here under my nose
That's what
and just purr.
Yeah.
Which is lovely in a way, but it's not great for podcasting, I don't think.
Slightly distracting.
It is a little bit. And he'll put his ass right here as well.
Yeah. Yeah, at least.
Look, it's my ass. Oh, thanks, Pickle.
Pickle.
But he had to go to the vets. And because he had a fighting injury, he had an abscess from getting bitten by another cat.
Oh no!
And God bless him, he's only little, but it was on his face, so he was properly fighting. He wasn't running away. And I was booking him in, and the lady that answered the phone, she said, "And what's your cat's name, please?" And I said, "Bernard Pickle." And she laughed.
Of course.
And I just said, "Oh, this is what happens when you let your kids name the cat."
And do you call him Pickle or Bernard?
I call him Pickle unless he's in trouble. He stole some beef off my desk earlier. Then he was called Bernard Pickle.
Yeah, something. My puppy's just walked up to the door actually, and I cannot let her in. So yeah, I know the feeling.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You're talking about the metrics of success for a game and measuring them. Now, you've alluded to this a couple of times in conversation so far, that people aren't necessarily looking at the data, that people aren't reading the signs. What are people missing, and why do you think people are missing this? Why? Because you see, when you say it in a conversation like this, it seems really fucking obvious. Like, of course you're going to look at the data, but why do you feel this isn't a thing that's commonplace? So, because it should be, surely the data's out there.
I think it is because we focus too much purely on the money, which is fair enough, because at the end of the day, we're working for companies, I guess, but it's not. So I guess if how you measure success, is it just by how much money the game makes, or is it by how many players you get, etc., etc.? So I think part of it is that, and then when you look at things that way, so there's so many other factors that affect that. So I guess I think that's why. I can hear your cat now. Yeah. But yeah, so and to be fair, it is quite tempting to do that, because at the end of the day, yeah. But I think we should look at other things, and I think we'll end up making better games. It might take a bit longer in the beginning, but we will make better games, and eventually they will be the more profitable ones because players will enjoy them more. And we shouldn't just be selling, or operators as well. Hopefully, you'd hope they wouldn't just sell positions to the highest bidder and stuff like that.
But would the ideal be, as a game developer, what's the ideal in terms of developing it? Because surely you want the magic. I nearly said the magic egg, but I don't know what a magic egg is. But let's go with that. You want the magic egg, which is like a game that sticks around for a long time, is profitable for the operator and fun for the player, and is almost a perennial, which, in land-based slots, we're talking about Buffalo or something like that. Now, presumably that's what you want to develop, but I mean, is that when you say more successful slots, is that what you're describing? What is a successful slot to you? So
yes, it's fair enough. I'm going to go back. I'm the commercial person in the company, so it has to be a profitable game that brings players back. But also, it needs to be. I mean, if you had to put it into one sentence, it's a game that players enjoy. Would be, for me, that is what is a successful slot. And then on the back of players enjoying it, it makes money, etc., etc. Also, which I think is a bit of a pity sometimes with some of the operators. I think some of the people running the casinos aren't necessarily players themselves, or they don't really appreciate the product very much. They focus a bit more on the cost. I shouldn't say these things, but so I think sometimes it's they focus a bit more on the price than the actual product itself. But hopefully we can give them both. That would be the secret, that golden egg.
Magic egg.
Yeah, so magic. Sorry.
I remember saying to somebody about there being dog eggs in my garden, and they were like, "Dogs don't lay eggs." I'm like, "Mine does." You don't want to tread in one, or accept an omelette from me.
Yeah, I think that's something else you're talking about.
But they're very fresh. Where's Just Slots based?
Everywhere. I mean, we don't really have a home. We are all remote, so there's people all over the place, really. Costa Rica,
So you're having a
California.
Christmas party?
We had a Christmas meetup in Barcelona a few weeks ago. So yeah, people flew in from, I guess the furthest away is probably, I think, Costa Rica. There's a guy in San Diego, so that's probably the furthest.
It's pretty far.
Yeah, and then a couple of people, all around Europe, really. A few of us in Spain, a few in London. But I think so far it's good, but I like the fully remote way of working.
Yeah, me too. I live in the arse end of nowhere, and it works for me. And it allows me to have the cat on hand.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's like 20 feet away on the other side of a closed door. He's really shouting out there. He's really giving it some. He's a very vocal cat.
Both your dog and cat are vocal.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. And when my girlfriend is here, the dog is just non-stop. He absolutely loves her. He's just non-stop. Non-stop. It's absolutely bizarre.
That's his way of saying I love you. It's sweet.
He is a little bit needy.
It's right. I don't mind. I like animals like that. Don't get enough love from my husband.
You heard it here first, folks. And obviously we won't comment. I'm not going to ask you your husband's name or if he works in the industry. So you mentioned earlier that you used to be in engineering and used to do buildings and stuff. How'd you get here then?
Long story. But in short, actually it was a friend in Malta. On one night we were just having a barbecue, and they were before Just Slots. I worked for another company which was just starting up. I think about 7-8 years ago. And they were just starting up in Malta, and they needed someone. They didn't even have an office. And he just said, "Oh, would you consider changing industry?" And at the time, I was doing kind of sustainability in buildings. And I don't know if you know much about Malta, but the building industry is extremely corrupt, basically, and they don't really care about sustainability at all. So after 2 years of banging my head against walls, I thought, why not? And I just met him in a bar one afternoon, and we had a chat and a drink, and I thought, let's try. And then it kind of started from there. So then that company that was super successful, actually. So we, made loads of slots there and had some hits, which were really good. And then the company sold eventually. I moved over to Just Slots to try and do it again.
To try and create another magic egg.
Exactly. Yeah.
What the fuck was I thinking when I said magic egg?
Golden hen, surely. Somewhere.
I'm just a fool. Etsy, I thought you said it was a long story. That was quite short. Yeah,
that's just a abridged version.
That's good. Appreciate that. We don't really do abridged versions on this podcast generally. I want to come back to data because it sort of is nagging at my head a little bit. So there's some really interesting stuff happening with data in the industry, and there's some really interesting data out there. A lot of the data stuff is around, and I hate using the phrase, but I'm going to use it anyway, responsible gambling. There's on the land-based side, some really interesting shit happening with data and companies who are making it possible for smaller outfits to enjoy the benefits of data mining and data information. And so, as an industry, it definitely, I think we've always known we generate lots of data. And we've also noticed as well that we don't do anything with it generally. And that is definitely changing. But What, from your perspective, and Finton's a nerd, he would have really enjoyed being here with you, and I'm apologizing for him. But what do you think in online gaming? What are key data metrics? What are the key? Because I can't help thinking that a lot of data analysis is about perspective. It's like, what are you looking for? And you, as a supplier, you need to try and make sure you hit certain sweet spots for your customer.
Yes.
Not the end user, your customer.
Yeah.
In theory, the end user as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the key data points for you, do you think?
I could list them as a long list. So yeah, for sure, I would say spins, like session length and anything to do with the session. So spins per session, etc., etc. And then a really key one for me is returning players. Like, does a player come back to the game? And then how often, how long it takes them to come back, etc. I think as well, really looking at when a player leaves the game. So, if they're playing and they get, let's say, a bonus round, which is a really kind of bad bonus round, and they leave the game, is, at what stage is a bonus round too bad, which makes them leave the game? So again, different players will have different tolerance for, like we say, some players do a bonus buy and they expect to get their money back almost, whereas other players will be able to tolerate more because they have a bigger bankroll. But I think so when a player leaves is really important, and then how many players come back, that is really important as well when it comes to a specific game. I think also, obviously, looking at, you can go into all the detail of when they play, like kind of, is it a snacking game or is it more of a game that appeals to people who will play for like hours and hours, like streamers? Which obviously has the benefits because there's sometimes more money to be made there. So then it's, I guess, up to us in terms of, do you want to make a product for the masses, let's say, or the casual player, or do you want to make something which is much more complicated for the more like specialized player? That's just one game. And then I think there's also, you really need to look at the portfolio of games as well. So, like, once you build your brand, like we're saying, most games don't have an extremely long lifetime. So let's say, I would say if a game gets 2 years, that's really, really good. You've done really, really well. So you kind of want to make build your brand enough so players come back. So then you can start analyzing, what games players move to. From one to the other and when they return. So I think there's so much to look at really. And all this is very dependent on, like you can, per operator or per, you could, what I'm trying to say is, I guess you can make games for a specific market, or you can make games for an operator, you know what I mean? You can make exclusives for, so there's many ways to look at it. And then like twisting things a little bit and testing them again.
Well, that was something I was going to come on to next, which is, personalization is one of the great buzzwords in the industry. Now, as a supplier, as a game supplier, what does that mean to you? And because like you hit on two things there: things that are exclusive to an operator, things that are exclusive to a region, but which might be cultural. It might be, there might be lots of reasons for that. Not least language, obviously. What do you think personalization means to the industry, and what does it mean to you as a supplier?
So obviously our games, there's a limited amount we can do, especially in some markets, in terms of, for example, when to send a player. So before we mentioned a player leaves or is going to leave a game. So at that point you want to send them some free spins. We obviously can't do that. That is in the hands of the operator. So there's a level of personalization which is limited. As a supplier, we're limited in what we can do. However, on the other hand, we can put features in the game where the player can choose. You see quite a lot of suppliers doing this as well. So, for example, having three options for the bonus. So when they go into a bonus, they can choose, the low, volatile, medium, or high, or being able to gamble. So it's not quite personalization, but at least a player can kind of adjust the game to suit their, I guess, playing style.
And that helps the operator build a profile of the player, right?
Yeah. And
which can be a risk profile, which comes back into data and RG.
Yeah, fair enough. No, and even things like bonus buy. It's been around for a long time now, but like hot spin, where you pay a bit extra to have more chance to get into the bonus round and stuff like that. All those are kind of ways of using the same game, but trying to adapt it to different player types, really.
Interesting.
Do you like playing slots?
I'm actually not a slot player. But I find the psychology of them really interesting. In fact, the whole psychology of gambling is really fascinating. And I was trying to explain this to my ex. I was we were at a running expo in Birmingham in the UK. And a casino had opened near the venue. And I said, shall we go and just have a quick look? Because I haven't been. And we went. And she was all like, but I haven't got anything to wear. What are you going to wear? I'm like, I'm going to wear jeans and a fucking T-shirt. She was thinking, it's going to be black ties and stuff.
No.
We go in. Of course, everybody's wearing a suit.
No.
They're wearing shell suits.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Not quite the same. Not quite where you thought I was going with that, was it? There was a lot of polyester in there. But it was very, very quiet. This is like Tuesday evening or something, it's one of those times where you think, why did we open today? I was explaining to her about how the industry on the land-based side, every roulette wheel has a post with a screen on top of it, and that screen displays information generated by the wheel. And I said to her, the key is that they know that they're not doing anything bad at all by presenting that information. But they also know that everybody that looks at that is going to take their own interpretation of it away. And, they're going to look at this. They're going to be like, it's come up black 5 times. One person's going to think, it's bound to come up black again. Another person's going to think, it's bound to come up red. When in fact, the likelihood is exactly the same on every single spin.
Yeah, independent. Yeah.
But that's the way our minds work as animals. That's the way our minds work. And it's the way that the industry, that's not even manipulating psychology. That's just letting people do whatever they fucking feel like when their eyes and their brain combine.
Yeah.
And I find that really fascinating. And with slots, I do think it's very interesting. And I don't think it's coincidence that slots and smartphones are so closely linked. Let's put it that way. Smartphones are time sinks. And I do think that, and I'd be really fascinated to see this, but I'd love to see slots play broken down by intent. So people who are just killing time and people who are there to actually hit for a return.
A lot of killing time, I would say.
I think there's an awful lot of killing time. And I think that's I think that's why I think sweeps casinos aren't necessarily cannibalizing online casinos, because I think it's an entirely different kind of player.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why social casinos exist. But the volume of players that play social is
huge,
very, very large. And there's a reason for that. And I don't think that the gambling industry has actually tapped into that yet.
Yeah, no, fair enough. It's a fair point. I totally think it's like the snacking, filling time, and you can see that from the time of day, where it peaks and stuff like this. And a lot of short sessions as well. So people going back home from work, just playing on their phone and stuff like this. And
sitting on the toilet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my husband again. I should stop mentioning it.
I feel for him.
Yeah. So, but it's true. But it's yeah, and I guess, and then I think what might, I don't know. This is something I'm a bit split on, but maybe like sometimes the Friday night kind of having fun with your friends, which I don't know. People have been saying it's going to increase, making slots more social. I think for now it's still not the case, but maybe if we enable it, it will become. I quite enjoy with friends. Like we'll just get the phone out and play together. Put a pot in together and play together. I think and that's quite fun, really.
I think there's a social element waiting to be unlocked there. Do you remember when the world was locked down? And there's a feature on streaming services that's gone, I think, from all of them now, being able to watch stuff together.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you could watch a movie with somebody who is somewhere else, and I'm pretty sure they've all stopped doing it now, and I'm gutted.
Well, that's really nice.
But it's brilliant. Actually, I think that there is something there for, or even encouraging, like, God, think of this like a marketing tool, right? What if you encouraged player groups?
Exactly. It's so much more fun winning with someone.
But not necessarily friend groups. Like on Reddit, on Facebook, groups like that, where the wins are
huge,
split between the group, you could have your own local friggin' progressive in that.
Yeah, I think it's more fun with friends, though. No.
Oh, totally. But
then if you win with friends, I think it's like when you're at the blackjack table and the dealer goes bust and everyone celebrates because we all won and we all beat the dealer.
We are, as animals, humans are community animals.
Mm-hmm.
We are all about the people around us, and we care about the people around us, and it's innate. You have to really fight it to not give a fuck. And I think that so much online play, not just gambling, all sorts. So many pursuits now are insular. So many pursuits are solitary, and that's their nature. But actually, we can change that, and I think you've got a much more powerful and engaging thing then. And if you look at a lot of free-to-play games, or just fun gaming on mobiles, an awful lot of it is team-based, or has a bonus game that's got a team element in it. You're playing for the blue team or the red team or whatever, and actually there's something there to be tapped into. I'm absolutely positive.
I think there are some companies who are trying to do it. We just haven't got far enough, and it's not kind of widespread enough. I hope it grows, because I think it is a pity to keep it like very solitary. But I think like there's a few platforms where you can like bet behind someone who's playing and stuff like this, so you're all winning together. Which I think is quite nice. I think it's growing, yeah, but still relatively small kind of thing. Yeah, I think there's definite growth there, and I think especially for younger players, I think it's even kind of even more. I think it's even more of a. I shouldn't say this word, but like if you make them play even more, responsible gaming.
Yeah, no, but it could be more. It could be more appealing, certainly for people that have grown up with social media.
Yeah, appealing. Yes.
But it's if you get the volatility right and the product right, then it doesn't necessarily have to be a problem thing. I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Sarah Ramanauskas and Simo Dragicevic. They founded the Game Safety Institute, and we've had them both on the podcast. We've had Sarah on a number of times, but they're all about looking at how the game is only one part of an environment that the player is in, and it's the whole combined environment that creates a problem, not the game in isolation. And actually, I think that's a really fascinating way to look at it. And it actually looks at making, instead of putting all the onus on the player and saying, "You fucking idiot, why didn't you set a play limit?" Well, so I didn't know I was an addict. Or because that's for those people that are addicts, not me. I'm just chasing my losses, etc. But it's about looking at that whole environment and saying, well, actually, if we know these things about the player, then we can steer them away from that just by knowing this shit, surely.
Yeah, even just like the time of day, because even one player at different times of the week or different times of the day, etc., is going to be in different environments. So in some situations it's not a problem, and in some it is. So that again, that's where the data comes in again, using it the right way. So yeah. But I think we're getting much better in like at identifying. I think like the responsible gaming, I think we are getting much better at it. And not just obviously regulations help in some way, but I think also some of the like many operators are just doing it, just because it's the right thing to do. So
yeah, I need similar controls like that on eBay.
Yeah, me too.
Back when I used to drink, I got really I had kind of a 2-year drunk, and I got a surprise package in the post one day, and I'm like, I wasn't expecting anything, and I open it up, and I bought a fake diamond studded Batman belt.
Wow, for yourself?
And it was about a foot too small to actually go around my waist. It went around one of my thighs.
Got it.
And I'm just, how drunk must I have been to think, do you know what I don't have?
Yeah.
Because I would have searched for it and then bought it.
The wrong size. Did you return it?
No, I've still got it. It almost fits now as well.
Well done.
I've lost a bit of weight since then.
That's good.
It is nice, but I keep thinking I'm going to take the buckle off and put it on another belt because it's such a cool buckle.
Yeah, at least wear it for Halloween or something. Surely make some use.
Halloween?
Yeah.
I wear it to go to the fucking post office.
Yeah, or the casino.
Exactly. Wear it with my shell suit.
Yeah, fit right in. Yeah. No,
I used to work with a couple of guys at QVC, actually a chap and a lady at QVC, and he did a really great line in deadpan humor, and we'd been in a meeting, and our colleague, lovely lady, was wearing a very nice shell suit, but a shell suit, and this is 25 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
So shell suits were fashionable at the time.
I had one.
And deadpan guy, just as we're walking along, he didn't even look at her. He just said, "Kerry, your parents must be really proud of you." She's like, "Why?" "Well, wearing a suit to work every day."
Did you get it?
Yeah, she was horrified. It was very funny. He later.
And was it on air?
No.
No, thankfully.
He's been in about 18 Marvel movies.
Oh, what? Who is it?
Oh, he's just like he's a background, or he's in about 18 of them. But he is a named character in Paddington 2.
Oh, I haven't seen it, but sorry, yeah, I'm not very good with movies, sadly.
Well, you're on the wrong podcast. Paddington 2 is fabulous, and he plays double bass Bob.
Oh, great name. Great name.
Really is.
Yeah.
Really is.
I have a book recommendation and a movie recommendation, so it's great.
Well, that's what we're all about here.
Yeah.
But Paddington 2 is genuinely excellent.
Do I need to watch Paddington 1?
No, I'm pretty sure you'll get the gist of the talking bear and the family he lives with.
Straight to 2, yeah.
Paddington 1 is very, very good, though. And there's also a very good chance I'm going to go and see Paddington 3 this weekend.
Enjoy it. Wow, I didn't even know there were 3. Oh, that's a lot of Paddingtons.
I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter wants to go and see Wicked.
Oh, that's very cool. I've seen that, actually.
Well, she's very excited about it.
Well, you could wear your belt to that. It is kind of...
Well, see, I'm trying to get out of that because it's nearly 3 hours long and I fall asleep in the cinema at the best of times. So I think it's a little bit unrealistic for me to go. So it might be my significant other goes with Annie and I take the boys to see Paddington 3, which is about 90 minutes long, which I can totally stay awake in.
Yeah, that sounds good. And just drink coffee.
I don't drink coffee. That's the
Oh,
problem.
dear me. Okay.
I know, right?
I wouldn't survive without coffee.
That's what I used to think, and then I developed an allergic reaction to it.
Oh, okay. What did you replace it with?
Lager and cigarettes.
Go back to coffee.
Well, then I gave up the cigarettes about 4 months later.
And then you took up running.
Then I took up running. But running so much meant that I had to drink more to keep my weight steady. And then
chocolate?
No, see, when I quit drinking, which was 6 years ago, 6 and a little bit years ago, what I then learned was that the addiction wasn't the alcohol, it was the sugar in the beer, because then I started eating chocolate.
Yeah.
And I've never had a sweet tooth, and suddenly I'm like absolutely caning chocolate. And it turns out me and sugar, oh yeah, we love each other.
Yeah, most of us do. Yeah. I used to run. I actually gave up smoking when I started running properly as well, because properly, not properly, but yeah, it does make a difference there.
Oh god, yeah. But yeah, I wanted to replace a negative addiction not with a positive one, but I started running because I wanted to do something that I knew I would suck at, because I'm just so good at everything. Just kidding.
Try horse riding.
Yeah.
It's tough.
No, I had an ex-girlfriend of mine when I was young. She had a horse riding accident and kind of put me off.
Yeah,
it's quite a big one. It was one of those ones where she could very easily have died, and it's pure luck that she didn't. She didn't die because it rained the day before.
Wow.
A horse reared up, went over backwards on top of her.
Oh, that's awful.
Now, in most situations like that, you're dead or you're paralyzed.
Yeah.
And what happened was it turned her spine to basically liquid. It completely crushed her spine. But somehow, because of the soft ground, it didn't break the spinal cord.
Oh my God.
And luckily, in the county that we grew up in, they have a world-class spinal unit. And they took her into the spinal unit and they made her a brand new metal backbone.
Wow.
Which was the full length of it. They said when they opened her up, they just scraped it out. It's just mush.
Wow.
She's got this really neat, tiny little scar that goes from the back of her neck all the way down to her pelvis.
Wow. Does she still ride or?
Yeah, you never would have stopped her.
Yeah.
But of course, she came out of the recovery from that with quite a sweet morphine addiction.
Oh, dear me. Yeah.
But she was in a body cast for months and months and months.
Oh, that's a really bad one.
Yeah, so me and horses, we've never really, I like them. I'll talk to them,
Yeah, they talk back as well.
As much as him.
And in fact, when you were talking about your dog, I was thinking of my horse. Because he's always like that. Yeah, he actually talks. I think they do talk back. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally do. Somebody was saying to me, Rebecca, my significant other, was saying to me that cats don't meow to each other. They only meow to humans. And the way that my cat meows, he's definitely articulating something, because it's different every single time.
100%. Yeah. And it's the same with the dogs. Like their barks are different and they have, I don't know, the different sounds. I won't make them, but they make lots of different sounds as well.
Well, my dog, unfortunately, the Hunter way. It's a breed. It's a New Zealand sheepdog, and they're the only sheepdog that moves the flock by barking from behind. Most sheepdogs move around the flock, and they move them by being a threat or whatever, giving the impression of. And they run behind the flock and they just fucking bark, and they've got these great big barks, and they've got this huge stamina and all this. And the problem is that other dogs don't really understand hunter ways. So you got this great big black and tan dog, and he'll go bouncing up to another dog looking really, really happy, and he'll just stand there and bark because he's really pleased. And this other dog is just cowering.
Aww.
Just like, oh shit, this is how it ends.
You have to get him a friend of the same breed.
Do you know, it's interesting. When Hunterways meet each other, they stand there, bark in each other's faces, and then walk away.
They still don't understand. Ah.
No, they do. They totally do. It's like they're going, hello, I'm a Hunterway. It's brilliant. Oh, yeah, me too. I really like being a Hunterway.
See you later.
Yeah, but let's go and bark. And then they
just
just
see you
piss
later.
off.
Yeah. But at least like that, he'll have someone to speak to. But from you.
Yeah. I do quite like the quiet, though.
Yeah, like it would be twice as noisy, you'd imagine.
Got the wrong dog, got the wrong cat. Fuck my life.
Do they get along?
Yeah, kind of.
At least that's good.
I mean, the cat's very confident around the dog, luckily, but the cat has taken to sleeping in the dog's bed.
And does the dog get him out of the bed?
No, the dog just goes and sleeps somewhere else.
Wow.
Yeah, but the cat was poorly, and I think that's why the cat started sleeping in the dog's bed.
Oh, because
his bed's up high.
Oh, so he couldn't get up to it.
So I think he started doing that because he was feeling poorly.
This is when he went to the vet with the...
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
maybe when he feels better, he'll start going back to his bed.
Yeah, well, apparently he was in the dog's bed last night. So tonight I'm going to put him into his bed to remind him that it's there.
Or you could bring his bed down next to the dog's.
What?
Yeah.
But it's up there, so he gets peace away from the children.
Clearly he wants to be down here. See, the engineer in me now. Solving problems for you.
He's just fucking with the dog, I think.
Fair enough.
When he first came here, the first night that he came, because he lived with my ex, first night that he came, it's the only time he's not peed in the litter tray or outside. He peed in the dog's bed. And he was obviously saying...
This is mine. Or marking his territory.
No, I think he was saying, something's wrong, I'm not happy.
Oh.
New environment, I don't know where I am, I'm going to do a big piss on this dog's bed.
Maybe.
I don't know, though. I'm no cat expert.
Yeah, or maybe, I don't know his character. You'd have to meet him and get to know him.
He's
first.
He's pretty great. If you met him, you'd be like, oh, he's the best cat ever. And I'd be like, yeah.
That's it.
He is. When we were at the vets the other day, I said, can we just take a moment to just recognize what a fantastic cat he is?
That's it. But it's true, because they do have different characters.
She just looked at me like I was mental.
And she's a vet. I understand you.
Yeah, she can still recognize it.
Yeah.
Other vets have mentioned what a fantastic cat he is. Not my fault.
You have to get a new vet.
She's unprofessional. So anyway, sorry, I'm wittering on. Christine, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast and talking about Just Slots. Your slot schedule for next year, when's your next release due? Do you know?
Yeah, next one will be February. And it's called Shogun Skyload.
It's called what?
Shogun Skyload. It's about samurai beds. Yeah, I don't know what they were doing when they came up with this idea. Who knows? Maybe.
Drinking opium.
Something
I
else.
think.
Yeah. But
wow.
It looks good. So yeah, we'll be doing some demos at ICE and stuff. So should be good.
Cool. And ICE, which is, of course, coming very fast. I think this will come out just before ICE. So if you're attending ICE and I'm not wrong and this hasn't missed ICE already, then head along to the Just Slots booth. Do you know the booth number?
We don't have a booth. But I'll be there with some of the team. So yeah, reach out to me if you're going to be there.
Find Christine Parkhill on LinkedIn and say, I'd like to see your slots.
Yeah.
I just made that sound really dodgy.
Yeah.
Thank God Finton's not here. He's very delicate, Finton.
Yeah.
Comes with having hair.
Bring it.
Christine Parkhill on LinkedIn. Just Slots is the company. What's the web address for the company?
Just-slots.com.
And as regular listeners will know, that is a hyphen. I've been your host, John Bruford. You've been our guest, Christine Parkhill. Christine, thank you.
Thank you. See you later.